Anna hurried from the house, her quaking hands gripping her flimsy coat with urgency. The frigid wind wailed through the open fields, yet nothing could deter her as she sprinted directly toward the barn. The heavy darkness enveloped her surroundings, with merely the soft illumination of the lantern swaying outside the barn, casting a glow akin to a far-off beacon, beckoning her nearer. She paused before the imposing wooden door, her heart racing so fiercely that it seemed on the verge of breaking free from her chest. Within the space, the gentle yet purposeful sound of hoofs shifting resonated, as though the horse anticipated her arrival, or perhaps possessed an innate awareness of her approach. Anna nudged the door ajar, the groan of the hinges cutting through the heavy stillness. Stellan loomed before her, a figure of grandeur, his piercing black eyes locked onto hers. With a deep breath, she approached the horse, each step measured and intentional. The atmosphere in the barn was thick, each inhalation and every slight shift imbued with a meaning that eluded her grasp. "So, you were anticipating my arrival, were you?" Her voice emerged as a mere whisper, gentle as a secret shared in the dark. Stellan inclined his head ever so slightly, a subtle movement that seemed to convey a response. In his gaze, there lingered an unspoken depth, a silent communication that ensnared Anna, rendering her motionless, captivated and unable to avert her eyes. After years of silence, she finally felt a profound sense of recognition, a depth of understanding that had eluded her in her interactions with Lucas. An intense wave of feeling swept over her, a blend of solace and danger. She extended her hand, allowing it to glide over Stellan's mane, sensing the warmth of his body flow into her fingertips. An electric current surged down her spine, and in that instant, she understood that her life had changed forever. The wind outside persisted in its howling, yet Anna remained oblivious to its presence. All that surrounded her dissolved into a hushed stillness. Only she and Stellan remained, entwined with a burgeoning secret that wove its way through the shadows, a flame ready to spark into life. Anna remained motionless in the barn, her hand softly caressing Stellan's mane, her eyes wandering into the far-off emptiness. With her eyes shut tight, she took a deep breath, allowing the aromas of parched hay, moist soil, and the gentle warmth of the horse beside her to envelop her senses. In this serene sanctuary, she sensed a profound escape from everything, the frigid, soulless home, Lucas's empty gazes, and the relentless solitude that had gnawed at her spirit for countless years. Memories surged within her, overwhelming like a powerful tide. Once, Anna held the conviction that love possessed the power to overcome all obstacles. She and Lucas were once a pair of blazing flames, fierce and unyielding in their bond. She recalled the moment of their first encounter, when Lucas had effortlessly brought her to laughter, tears of joy cascading down her cheeks, thanks to his quick wit and innate charisma. She remembered the lengthy nights beside the fire, exchanging visions of a radiant tomorrow. In those days, Lucas had vowed to remain by her side, crafting a life together that they would both hold dear. Yet, as time flowed onward, those promises transformed into a rare indulgence. Lucas immersed himself in his work, with endless meetings and business trips that seemed to stretch on indefinitely. Anna found it hard to recall the last time they shared a dinner together, free from the constant buzzing of his phone. Each time he returned home, it felt as though a stranger had walked through the door. He would enter the room, toss his bag aside, embrace her briefly, and then vanish behind the glow of his laptop screen. Anna had made every effort, truly made every effort, to cling on. She crafted intimate dinners, sought to rekindle their past dialogues, yet Lucas consistently brushed her off with the same tired refrain. "I find myself utterly exhausted, Anna. Shall we converse at a later time?" Yet the anticipated moment never arrived. She once held the conviction that time possessed the power to mend all wounds, yet it merely deepened the divide that separated them. Lucas was not an ill-intentioned soul. He did not embody the traits of infidelity, rage, or neglect in the usual manner. Yet, his indifference cast a shadow over Anna, leaving her to feel as though she was gradually disappearing, a specter haunting her own marriage. When Lucas acquired Stellan, she believed it was merely another passing fascination of his. Yet Stellan had emerged as the sole beacon of light in Anna's otherwise dreary existence. Within the horse's profound, expressive gaze, she discovered a tranquility that had eluded her for years. Yet, it was more than that. Anna found it impossible to erase the memory of her initial encounter with Evelyn, the horse trainer brought on by Lucas. Evelyn was a striking figure, her keen gaze cutting through pretense, accompanied by a subtle melancholy that suggested her own hidden scars. Evelyn was not one for many words, yet when she chose to speak, her remarks pierced through the air, striking at the very truths Anna had spent years evading. She recalled that afternoon when she and Evelyn lingered outside the barn, discussing Stellan. Evelyn's eyes locked onto hers, as if stripping away the very essence of Anna's being, and uttered a phrase that would forever echo in Anna's mind. Horses such as Stellan possess an uncanny ability to perceive truths that humans often choose to ignore. At times, it is the solitude that creates the most profound connection. In that moment, Anna merely offered a polite smile and dismissed it with a wave. Yet, as she faced Stellan, the resonance of Evelyn's words lingered in her thoughts, reminiscent of a foretelling. She hesitated to admit it, yet there lingered the possibility that Evelyn had indeed been correct. It was her solitude, the void that Lucas failed to occupy, that had gradually pulled her nearer to Stellan, inch by inch. Her fingers glided gently through Stellan's mane, savoring the warmth that radiated beneath her touch. "You know, Stellan," she whispered. "At times, I find myself longing to embody the grace and freedom of a horse, much like you. There are no concerns, no conflicts to contend with, only liberation." Stellan remained silent, yet his eyes conveyed a profound understanding. In that instant, Anna experienced a brief wave of relief wash over her. Yet, beneath the surface, she understood that everything was shifting, and there was no turning back. The moonlight cast its gentle glow over the fields, highlighting the slender trail that wound its way to the barn. Anna moved with deliberate slowness, each step drawn out as if an unseen power beckoned her toward Stellan. The wind intensified, its chill biting at her skin, yet she remained unfazed. Within her, a tumult was awakening, both indistinct and all-consuming, as though her heart was beckoning her toward an understanding that eluded her mind. The barn door swung ajar, its hinges lamenting softly in the quiet of the night. Stellan lingered, his dark, enigmatic eyes mirroring the glow of the moonlight. In that instant, Anna sensed the very fabric of her surroundings begin to fade away. Lucas had departed, leaving behind the frigid, detached phone calls and the interminable, solitary evenings that once filled the air. It was just her and Stellan, as if they were intertwined in a bond that needed no words to define it. "So, you found yourself waiting for me once more, didn't you?" she murmured, her voice reminiscent of a hushed revelation. She moved nearer, her fingers gliding softly over Stellan's glossy black mane. The horse's warm breath whispered gently against her, a soothing presence that offered silent comfort, like a tender promise of tranquility. She caressed him, allowing her fingers to dance over the sleek strands of his coat. The burden in her chest began to dissipate, giving way to a tranquility so unusual it felt almost alien. Yet, in an instant, the atmosphere transformed. Anna found herself unable to remember what had compelled her to act. Perhaps it was the way Stellan's eyes captured hers, or the subtle tilt of his head that appeared to recognize her touch. Maybe it was the tempest within her, the solitude, the longing, and the empty chasm she had yet to satisfy. Her hand lingered on the side of his face, her palm softly resting against his warmth. With her eyes gently shut, she inhaled deeply, savoring the moment. Yet, even that breath quivered. Stellan. His name escaped her lips, not as a summons, but as a revelation. The horse moved subtly, bowing his head as though acknowledging something unseen. His stance, still yet brimming with comprehension, enveloped Anna in a sensation that he could decipher the intricate thoughts dancing within her mind. His gaze locked onto hers, profound and accepting, asking for nothing, yet so captivating that she found herself unable to turn away. Her breath became increasingly labored. She inched nearer, as if the distance separating them was an intolerable void that yearned to be crossed. A lengthy pause lingered in the air, quiet yet heavy with expectation. Her hand settled gently on Stellan's chest, sensing the steady, powerful rhythm of his heart beneath her fingertips. Yet within her, a tumultuous rhythm pulsed, poised to dismantle her facade. She ceased her thoughts. For the first time in her existence, every shred of reason, every concept of morality, and all whispers of logic fell silent. She found herself confronted with the unfiltered intensity of her feelings, or maybe a fragment of her being that she had buried deep for far too long. With a single, tentative step and a subtle shift of her weight, Anna's entire universe shattered around her. She had become a shadow of her former self. She had shed the weary, vacant semblance of Anna that she once was. She was a woman enveloped in emotions that were entirely foreign to her. Yet, in that moment, a subtle sound shattered the enchantment. Anna recoiled, as though she had been abruptly pulled from a vivid reverie. A faint shaft of light pierced the darkness of the barn, and in that fleeting moment, her heart froze. Evelyn lingered in the doorway, her keen, penetrating gaze as sharp as a dagger, fixed intently on Anna. Silence enveloped the moment, yet Anna understood all too well. Evelyn had witnessed it all. The atmosphere within the barn was imbued with an icy stillness. Evelyn remained still, her face a blend of astonishment and icy deliberation, as if she were assembling the fragments of the tableau she had just encountered. Anna parted her lips, yet silence enveloped her, leaving her words unspoken. Her breath ascended into the frigid night air, a silent revelation lingering between the stars. Shame, guilt, and fear weighed heavily upon her chest, yet within the depths of her being, an unexpected sense of relief began to stir. A wave of relief washed over her, for at last, the burden of her secret was shared, no longer hers to carry in solitude. Anna. Evelyn's voice pierced the stillness, steady yet resolute. What do you believe you are up to? The straightforward inquiry sliced through the atmosphere with precision. Evelyn entered the barn, her pace deliberate yet unhurried. Anna stumbled back, yet Stellan remained steadfast, a solid anchor amidst the swirling chaos around her. I am uncertain. Anna faltered, her voice fragile and quivering. Evelyn halted mere feet away, her piercing gaze delving deep into Anna's very essence. Are you grasping the direction in which this is going? Evelyn inquired, her tone subdued yet every syllable struck with the force of a hammer. You're toying with danger, Anna, and when the flames consume everything, there will be no remnants to recover. Anna found herself at a loss for words. She remained motionless, locked in a gaze with Evelyn, as a tempest of feelings raged within her. She understood that Evelyn was correct. She understood the reality behind those words. Yet, despite that awareness, she found herself unable to halt her actions. Not at this moment. Not when she had already ventured beyond a boundary she once believed she would never breach. Evelyn stood resolutely before Anna, her eyes piercing like a finely honed edge. The oppressive atmosphere in the barn grew heavier, enveloping Anna in a grip so tight that it seemed to steal her breath away. She found herself unable to escape Evelyn's gaze, unable to refute the reality of what had just transpired, and unable to conjure any rationale that could possibly excuse her behavior. Did you honestly believe this would remain hidden, Anna? Evelyn's voice held a steady cadence, infused with a simmering intensity just beneath the surface. Did you believe that no one would perceive the transformation within you, the shift in your gaze each time you step out of this barn? Anna stepped back, her fingers gripping Stellan's mane, as though it were the sole anchor preventing her from unraveling. Yet Stellan, the horse she had once thought comprehended her more deeply than anyone else, now remained mute. Stillness enveloped the scene, devoid of any sound or motion, as an unseen presence observed from an unattainable distance. I didn't mean to, Anna croaked, her voice raspy and strained. She understood that her words held no significance. She could not refute Evelyn's observation, yet she found herself at a loss for words to express the tumultuous feelings within her, a forceful tide that carried her off like a tempest she was powerless to withstand. Didn't intend to. Evelyn released a brief, cutting laugh, laced with a touch of bitter irony. Anna, this is not a mere coincidence, it is a deliberate decision, and you are fully aware of your actions. Evelyn's words hit Anna with the force of a physical blow, yet rather than feeling remorse, she sensed herself teetering on the brink of an abyss. The tempest within her, shame, anger, and a yearning so profound, rose, poised to erupt at any moment. What is it to you? Anna's voice cut through the air, sharper than she had meant, verging on a shout. This is my existence, you cannot fathom the trials I have faced, nor can you grasp the depth of my solitude. Evelyn's expression remained steadfast. You're right, I don't know everything, Evelyn replied, her voice soft yet laden with significance. Yet, I am certain of one thing, you are unraveling not only your own being but also impacting those who surround you. Anna sensed a vulnerability, laid open to the world. She lingered in that moment, caught between Evelyn's frigid, penetrating stare and the eerie stillness that enveloped Stellan. Every rationale, every excuse she had whispered to herself now seemed utterly devoid of significance. She was merely a woman ensnared, overwhelmed by emotions that eluded her grasp. Lucas will never understand, Anna murmured, her voice barely above a whisper. She averted her gaze, her eyes glimmering in the moonlight that filtered through the crevices of the barn wall. He has never truly grasped the essence of who I am. Not quite. Is that the reason behind your actions? Evelyn moved nearer, the space that separated them dwindling to mere footsteps. Anna, my purpose is not to pass judgment on you. However, it is essential to grasp this concept. Your current actions will not lead you to the liberation you believe they will. It will only exacerbate the situation. Anna felt the urge to protest, to raise her voice and declare that Evelyn was missing the point. Yet, how could she refute the veracity of Evelyn's statements? How could she turn a blind eye to the truth that she had traversed a boundary from which there was no return? A sharp sound pierced the stillness, slicing through the quiet with a fierce intensity. Anna halted abruptly, her gaze darting toward the source of the noise. The car's headlights cast a sharp beam across the field, cutting through the night with precision. Lucas. Her heart clenched, and a chill enveloped her, leaving her immobile. Evelyn cast a fleeting look at Anna, her piercing stare easing ever so slightly, a hint of unusual compassion shimmering in her gaze. You must make a choice, Anna, Evelyn said, her voice softer now, yet no less determined. At this very moment. Confront your actions or allow yourself to be consumed by the chaos you've created. Anna's breath came in rapid bursts as Lucas's car approached, the headlights casting a glow on the barn wall and revealing her ashen, troubled visage. She found herself at a loss, uncertain of the words to speak or the actions to take. She was acutely aware that each secret, each emotion she had long concealed, now hung precariously on the edge of revelation. Anna, Evelyn declared once more, her voice resolute and steadfast. This is the time for you to decide, and the power to make that decision lies solely with you. Anna cast her gaze from Evelyn to Stellan, then turned once more to the oncoming headlights. Her mind swirled in a tempest of confusion, yet her heart beat with a piercing clarity that transcended all else, as if it sought to lead her through the turmoil. In that instant, she understood that escape was no longer an option. The headlights sliced through the shadows, casting a bright glow on the barn door and highlighting every nuance of Anna's troubled expression with piercing clarity. She remained still, as though the very essence of time had come to a halt. Evelyn stepped back, creating a gap for Anna, yet she remained in place. Evelyn's keen gaze, typically frosty and resolute, now bore a subtle, observant calmness, as if she were poised for Anna to arrive at her ultimate choice. The vehicle halted just beyond the barn's threshold. Lucas emerged, his towering figure stretching a lengthy shadow beneath the stark illumination of the headlights. The car door closed with a sharp thud, and the stillness enveloped the surroundings once more. He paused, his gaze sweeping the surroundings momentarily before he made his way toward the barn. "Is that you, Anna? Is anyone inside?" Lucas called, his voice steady, just as it had always been. Yet to Anna, it resonated like thunder rumbling through the tranquil night. She pivoted to face him, their gazes locking, and in that fleeting moment, she understood he was aware of something. Perhaps it lacked clarity, perhaps it was merely an instinctual sensation, yet he was aware. "I couldn't sleep," she said, her voice steadying as best as she could manage, though the tremor in her breath betrayed her. "I simply wished to inquire about Stellan." Lucas entered the barn, his gaze shifting from Anna to Evelyn, who lingered a few paces away, quiet and motionless like a shadow. His brows knitted together, his eyes darting between the two women, sensing the unvoiced tension that lingered thickly in the confined room. "Is there something happening?" he inquired, his voice laced with curiosity, his gaze searching. Evelyn remained silent. Anna was aware that she would not. This was her moment to confront the reality, to embrace the accountability for all that she had fought so fiercely to conceal. All gazes were fixed upon her, and she sensed that every avenue had converged into a singular focus. She could choose to deceive once more, extending the heavy weight of concealed truths and remorse. Or she could face it all head-on, the shame, the pain, and the vulnerability that had long haunted her. Her gaze drifted toward Evelyn, whose demeanor, serene yet resolute, bore an unmistakable challenge. Then to Lucas, whose eyes, though heavy with concern, held a flicker of uncertainty she could not overlook. She understood that the time for fleeing was drawing to a close. "Lucas," she began, her voice heavy with feeling. I have something to share with you." Lucas stood still, his gaze sharpening with a hint of bewilderment. He remained still, his eyes fixed on hers, silent and unwavering. Evelyn tilted her face, taking a step back as if to offer them a moment of solitude, yet she remained within the confines of the barn. Anna inhaled deeply, her thoughts swirling, each word she longed to express caught in her throat. She reflected on the moments when she had truly lost herself, the instances when she gazed into Stellan's eyes and discovered the comfort that Lucas had never managed to provide. She contemplated the longing, the embarrassment, the hopelessness, and realized that if she remained silent in this moment, those emotions would confine her for eternity. "I felt so alone, Lucas," she said, her voice trembling, tears cascading down her cheeks. "It has lingered within me for an eternity, and I find myself at a loss for how to break free from its grasp. Everything with you, everything between us, seems to have faded into insignificance." Lucas paused before replying. He remained in place, his gaze probing hers, as if he sought to unearth the reality concealed within her statements. "What do you mean, Anna?" His voice resonated softly, each syllable carrying a palpable weight that she could feel. She continued, her voice trembling as she confessed, "I've been seeking solace in a place I know I shouldn't. I find myself adrift, Lucas. I'm at a loss for words, yet I sense that I've crossed a threshold." Lucas took a step back, his eyes growing wider, as if the words he heard were too astonishing to comprehend. He repeated, his voice rough and barely audible, "crossed a line." Anna experienced a tightening in her chest, as though an unseen force were gripping her heart. "I can't quite put it into words," she remarked. "I am acutely aware that I have strayed too far from my path, and there is no turning back now." She steeled herself for the impending fury of Lucas, anticipating his voice to rise or for him to make a swift exit. Yet he did not. He remained motionless, gazing at her, his expression a complex web of feelings she struggled to understand. At last, he uttered a word, his tone deep and weighty. "Do you still hold love for me, Anna?" That seemingly innocuous question dismantled the fragile barriers she had managed to uphold. Anna gazed at him, her tears flowing unrestrained now. "I'm uncertain, Lucas. I find myself at a loss now." Yet, I yearn to rediscover it. I seek to comprehend the reasons behind our current state of being. Evelyn held her silence, yet Anna sensed her presence, unwavering and resolute, observing it all. With a silent resolve, Lucas pivoted and exited the barn, leaving behind the unspoken tension that lingered in the air. His silhouette dissolved into the soft glow of the car's headlights, leaving Anna there, more hollow than she had ever known. Evelyn drew near, her keen gaze now imbued with an unexpected warmth. "You did the right thing," she said, her voice soft yet resolute. Anna remained silent. She pivoted to face Stellan, who remained rooted in place, his profound dark eyes fixed on her, as though they contained all the solutions to the questions she could not grasp. She moved nearer, her fingers gliding softly through his mane for what felt like the final time. At that instant, she understood her course of action. She was compelled to exit the barn, to abandon the shadows into which she had permitted herself to descend for an eternity. Outside, the moon persisted in casting its icy luminescence, and in the night's brisk embrace, Anna moved onward, bearing the weight of her pain and regret, alongside a glimmer of hope that perhaps, one day, she might rediscover her true self.